Beep, 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 beep. Hello. Welcome to the Court of the EDI Jester. How the devil are we today? I hope you're well. Oh, we've got a good one today for you. So what have I got? Well, I'm going to move straight in. No faffing about. Subscribe. You know, the usual. Right, okay, here we go. Argentina at the ballot box. The uncertain future of LGBTQ equality in Argentina. This is a subject that was on the lips of the Argentinians, or at least some of them, okay? Now, we now know that the election finished yesterday, and that Javier Milei, which a lovely accent you discovered, Javier, lovely, that sort of flows, doesn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, President of Argentina, Javier Milei, right? He's what you would call the conservative contender, right? He's quite libertarian, but he's a very interesting character, and I've done a bit of digging to find out about him, and I came across this really interesting article, which was written prior to the elections, which provides us with some great insight into the mindset of this man, who is probably, alongside possibly Poland, the first conservative thinker that I feel may get it. Now, you could decide for yourself whether he does or whether he doesn't, because I'm going to put the links in the doobies, but we're going to go through this one because I think it's interesting. So, Argentina at the ballot box, the uncertain future of LGBTQ equality. On November the 19th, in a closely contested second round of presidential elections, Argentina will choose between progressive candidate and Secretary of Economy Sergio Massa and conservative contender and Congressperson Javier Milei. These elections are not just crucial for the nation's political and economic trajectory, but are equally significant for the ongoing battle for the human rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and queer people. The outcome will determine the future direction of the country, either reinforcing or challenging the progress Argentina has made in championing LGBTQ people's equality and inclusive gender practices. Right, so they've stretched that already. Right, okay. It says Argentina stands out as a pioneer in championing LGBTQ people's rights, particularly in Latin America. Since 2010, the nation has made significant strides, starting with being the first in the region to legalise same-sex marriage, ensuring equal rights and responsibilities for these couples. Bravo. Bravo. A pivotal move was the enactment of the 2012 gender identity law. Here we go. 2010. Yay, 2012. Oh dear. 2012 gender identity law, which allowed people to change their gender on official documents based on self-determination without undergoing surgeries, therapy, or other invasive or bureaucratic requirements, and ensured that transgender people received comprehensive medical care. Right, so leading the field on LGB, isn't this so familiar to so many of us? Leading the field on LGB, 2010, great, right, equal marriage, thanks so much, job done. Tea anyone? You know, that was where we were here in this country a few years back, right, when Stonewall lost the plot and went bonkers and got Ruth in and all the lunatics. So they were in the same place. Got it, right, thanks very much. We're done. Off you go. Then in 2012, the gender identity lobby begins to enforce their nonsense on the country by passing a law that allows men to LARP as women and women to LARP as men. Right, so there we go. So this document is no longer concerned about LGB. It seems to me to be concerned primarily about TQ. You can follow along, of course. The document is there for you to read in the doobies. Now, the nation further asserted its commitment to equality in 2015 when it lifted a ban on gay and bisexual men donating blood. This has got the same pattern written all over it. So that's another one, 2015. Thanks very much. In 2020, Argentina again broke ground on the region when it legislated a trans labour quota that expanded employment through those who have experienced systemic marginalisation on the basis of their gender identity. So what it did was, Argentina broke ground by making sure that there was a quota of cross-dressing men and women on in employment opportunities. What for, right? So, yep, so that it's confused, isn't it? Again, it's the same confusion we're seeing again here. Additionally, Argentina is one of the few countries worldwide that has established a government special representative on sexual orientation and gender identity, further emphasising its dedication to the cause. So again here, we're seeing the conflation of sexual orientation and gender identity with an individual that is responsible for both, but of course will be overshadowed by their philosophical belief in nonsense and the wokery, and as Jordan Peterson's got to calling it, the meta-Marxism of this nonsense, right? So this position is held by a trans woman, Alba Rueda, only further cements Argentinian leadership in walking the talk on LGBTQ inclusion. This is the point where the LGBTQ has got nothing to do with gay and lesbian people, so it takes over it completely. As we know, its parasitic form, it takes over it completely. So, the candidacy of Javier Milei has raised significant concerns for LGBTQ people and their rights in Argentina. In his first speech after advancing to the second round of the elections, Milei remarked, "We are not here to take away rights. We are here to end privileges." Now that is a very interesting statement indeed. We have heard numerous times from those of us in the movement that what people are asking for when it comes to the TQ plus nonsense are privileges, not rights. You know, to be something you're not. That's the first privilege. Yeah. So we've heard this before. So here we are in this situation. Radfems, hello. Lovely radfems. Gender criticals, hello. Lovely gender criticals. Well, is it you're agreeing with a right-wing Argentinian candidate? Okay. Strange bedfellows. I love it. I love it. It mixes the pot, doesn't it? So yes, seeing the same thing here, isn't it fascinating? Fascinating to see this. So let's continue on. We're not here to take away rights, we are here to end privileges. Contradictorily, the proposals of his platform, La Libertad Avanza, LLA, target progressive developments in Argentina that have advanced rights. Here we go, right? Such as, and we're all going to see this for what it is in the UK, because we know gender criticals and all us lot, right? And the gays, are you there, the gays? Right? Contradictorily, the proposal platform, La Libertad Avanza, target progressive developments in Argentina that have advanced rights, okay? That have advanced rights. Now let's talk about those rights for a second, such as comprehensive sexuality education and the trans labour quota. Right, so what they're saying here is that the comprehensive sexuality education is a right. Well, actually, you and I know that PSHE and RSE, as purported to be, you know, taught by the likes of Proud Trust and other gender this and gender that and gender unintelligent or whatever they're called, is cobblers. That most of it they're teaching kids is cobblers, and in fact very dangerous indeed. They're teaching kids nonsense about gender identity, which doesn't exist. Gender, it's all crap. And you know, you can diddle when you want to and understand things when you're for it. We know they're insane, right? We know that. But here we have it, you see. This article particularly says that we are not taking away rights, we're here to end privileges. And this is where the rubber hits the road, because this outright international organisation is saying that that's a contradiction to the proposals of his platform, which want to tinker with comprehensive sex education and the trans labour quota. Well, that's because the comprehensive sex education as it exists, I imagine, in Argentina, as it does over here, because it's the same nutters, right? As it does over here, and the trans labour quota are both privileges that don't need to exist based on a privilege to your particular political viewpoint and your fetid belief system. What do you think? Yes. So I'm like, oh my God, this guy's hard right. All the gays are in trouble. I'm now thinking, is he? What's this? What's happening here? Right? What's going to be the outcome of this? And I think this is really interesting because I think it's a flavour of how the British public and the American public will react when the true reality of the LGBTQ lunacy smacks them on the backside, right? That's what I think. So let's move on. I'm very excited today, can you tell? Let's move on. LLA, which is that La Libertad Avanza, I think means libertarian advancement, I'm not sure, has repeatedly expressed its intent to abolish the mandate for comprehensive sexuality education. Hey, I want to abolish the mandate for comprehensive sexuality education. which promotes gender equality, the right to information, and values such as affirmative consent across all educational levels. Now, I think they're throwing that in there. So they want to abolish the mandate for comprehensive sexuality education, which promotes gender equality, what, with a trans bloody quota? Gender equality, the right to information. What kind of information? Would it be ideological? Yes, it will. And values such as affirmative consent across all education levels. I'm not even sure what that means. Affirmative consent. Does that mean saying yes or no? You know, in which case, yeah, stop interfering. Just tell them that you need consent. And this is, so they're desperately attempting to colour LLA, it appears, as wanting to take away things that sound good, but when you get into the nitty gritty are just left crap, rubbish, right? The rubbish we've seen being thrown around by these, you know, shag your Afghan folks, right? I might be wrong. You go and have a read, because this is good stuff. It gets better, right? So go and have a read. You tell me. Right. Millet has also attacked the trans labour quota. I like this man. Declaring, I don't know why someone should be given a public position just for being a transvestite. This guy's based. Oh, I long to hear somebody in our government say that, right? I don't know why someone should be given a public position just for being a transvestite. We are the ones who pay for that. Whoever decides to be a transvestite should deal with it on their own. The state cannot give a quota to someone who belongs to a minority group because the state is funded by all of us. Oh, God, the trans people in bloody Argentina are going to have their knickers in the twist this morning because he won. Millet and his political allies go further in portraying LGBTQ people and gender equality more broadly as a menace to Argentinian society. It is a menace, right? It's got nothing to do with gays and lesbians and bisexuals. It's a bloody menace, right? So he marks it as a menace to Argentinian society, adopting a threat construction strategy commonly used by authoritarian leaders. Right, Millet described the LGBTQ lobby alongside the climate change movement and abortion as part of a socialist agenda and declared his intention to dismantle the Ministry of Women, Genders and Diversities, which runs gender-based violence hotline and implements policies aimed at dismantling structural inequality, equating its work with cultural Marxism. He gets it, right? So what he's going to do, he's going to drain the swamp. He's going to drain the swamp. He's going to drain the swamp. Right. Bizarrely, he stated, I will not be apologising for having a penis. I shouldn't feel ashamed for being a blonde, blue-eyed white man. I won't concede anything to cultural Marxism. With this, you know what will happen to the Ministry of Women, because the only equality that matters is equality before the law. Okay, so where is he on these things? His comments about, here in particular, his structuring of abortion within the things that he's against is expected. It's not controversial, I don't think. Is expected, and interesting. It's going to be, but then he's going to dismantle cultural Marxism in Argentina. Ooh, this is a real. We're on the knife's edge now, folks, aren't we? There with this thing, what's going to happen? Because there's people that are pro-choice, or people that believe that, you know, whatever it may be. Ooh, careful, because we're on knife's edge stuff. It'll be interesting to see what he does. The Ministry of Women, it should go. We don't need, look at what we've got. The women's, what is it? The women's gas bagging government body run by that Karen Noakes woman. All of it needs to go. For God's sake. A few days before the first round of elections, he declared, we are not going to adhere to the 2030 agenda. There's Mayor Andy Burnham in Manchester going around sticking signs up saying 30, you know, sort of trying to get over, we're all going for the 2030. This guy goes, no, we're not doing it, right? We do not adhere to cultural Marxism. We do not adhere to decadence. Regarding the topics that were present in the Argentine school curriculum, Millet claimed that gender ideology, native peoples, ecology and inclusive language destroy the values of society. Now that's interesting, because what he didn't say was gay and lesbian. I think this guy gets it. Let's do that again, right? On the Argentine school curriculum, Millet claimed that gender ideology, native peoples, ecology and inclusive language destroys the values of society. Where does he stand? It's going to be so interesting to find out, isn't it, folks, as we watch the president's agenda unfold in Argentina. Could this provide a model? What's happening here that could be done that we can use? Now, Ramiro Mara. What is it about these wonderful names? Ramiro Mara, the candidate for chief of government in Buenos Aires under LLA, proposed reducing LGBT events in cultural centres. Oh, yes, yes! Can you imagine getting rid of all those ridiculous... Right, today's gay day, bi day, trans day, up your bum day, whatever it may be. Get rid of the bloody lot. I don't care about any of it. Millet, as he said, and this is a quote from Ramiro Mara. Millet has tried on several occasions to escape from the debate on the rights of LGBTQ people. Describing sexuality as an individual decision, this is an individual freedom of each person to choose their sexual inclination, and we respect it. Now, you and I know it's not a choice, right? Right? But what he's saying is that we respect it. That's it. That's all we need. It's all we ever wanted was just to be treated the same. However, what he says next makes clear his hostility to sexual diversity. What we do not want is that we have to bear it all together, because whoever decided his sexual path is responsible for his choices. We don't want to make the whole community responsible for that. In this way, Millet seeks to avoid being labelled as intolerant or discriminatory, while at the same time criticising public policies that recognise LGBTQ people's marginalisation and seek to advance their human rights. This guy is about to take the beastly, male-dominated LGBTQ, trans and queer nonsense body and nail its testicles to a bench. That's my thinking, because I think he's got the line. I think he's got it right. I'm absolutely fascinated by this, right? The potential success of a non-traditional candidacy like Javier Milei's in Argentina is rooted in the current political climate. Marked as a libertarian yet fundamentally conservative, what's wrong with that? Right, Millet taps into right-wing populist energy, similar to that which produced electoral victories for figures like Bolsonaro in Brazil and Trump in the US. Widespread disillusionment with traditional political parties, often perceived as corrupt or ineffective, and an economic crisis have propelled voters to seek alternatives. Very interesting, you have propelled voters, as if voters can't see what the nasty gender-addled grievance gerbils and mad race wallers and all those crappy groups on the left are doing. It's propelled voters. So it's not voters chose, they were propelled. They've been fooled, they've been fooled into thinking that the poor gender identity person needs help. I think he's got the line about right, and this makes me think he does, because of the way that they're desperately trying to link him with a further right agenda. They're desperately trying to link him with other things. Now, he may be that, we don't know yet, but it's still interesting. Right. Polls leading up to the second round, polls leading up to the second round indicate that this will be a tightly contested election. Working in Millet's favour is the fact that his progressive opponent currently serves as Argentina's Secretary of Economy during the country's most severe economic crisis in 2 decades. This association with the current economic downturn could sway voters towards Millet, who represents a radical shift from those they perceive as responsible for the current situation. Millet's unorthodox style, which challenges the status quo, has a charismatic appeal, especially among younger voters looking for a departure from conventional politics. So what they're doing is here, they're attempting to say that this mad neo-Marxism, cultural Marxism, is conventional politics. It's not, it's an aberration. And that he's influencing the young using his charisma. So now they're linking him to some kind of guru, right? As opposed to, you vote, I'll vote. Are you watching? Are you paying attention? Keep going. Some voters may not grasp quite how much is at stake. The voting people are stupid. Right? Being a woman, queer, or gender non-conforming can become markedly more dangerous under regimes marked by official hostility to gender equality and diversity. So in that paragraph, they are linking together many things in order to force team the nutters with women. So get it? Some voters may not grasp quite how much is at stake. Being a woman, take that out, right? Being queer or gender non-conforming can become markedly more dangerous under regimes marked by official hostility to gender equality and diversity. By that they mean gender identity. While gender issues and LGBTQ rights have not been at the forefront of Miller's campaign, his rhetoric, even when were not the primary campaign focus, could inflict considerable harm by perpetuating stereotypes. His policies, if elected, are likely to undermine LGBTQ social movements, advance a rigid understanding of gender rooted in biological determinism, and roll back hard-won rights. He said none of that. None of it. Right? The only thing that the guy's attacked, from what I can gather in this, rather than the speculation of this ridiculous outright international media, the only thing I can gather from it so far that he's done is said, listen, if you're gay, get on with it. That's what he said. If your sexuality is different from the next person's, get on with it. I don't care. It's none of my business. He's a libertarian, right? That's none of my business. But he said, but I'm going to get rid of the Marxist, trans, queer nonsense. That's going. He's mentioned nothing about women. He's mentioned, genuinely, right? They are clutching at straws in a desperate attempt to prevent what I think needs to happen in the UK and the USA, which is the exposure of this ridiculous, dangerous belief system and its absolute eradication from every institution, from the NHS to the universities, to businesses and to the legal field. Now, furthermore, they're saying, given Argentina's historical political significance in Latin America, any shift in its stance on such crucial matters can influence the broader regional political landscape, possibly setting a precedent for neighbouring nations. Argentinians, Latin Americans, and concerned citizens the world over who care about gender equality, they mean gender identity, and the safety and dignity of LGBTQ people, which doesn't include gays and lesbians, by the way, should be watching the election closely, recognising that human rights are in the balance. No, I disagree. I think what we are seeing here is a man who recognises that this isn't a human rights issue. It's an issue where they can gain a priestly status. It's an issue where they want stuff that other people can't get. It's an issue where they expect us to believe in unreality. And I've got the feeling this guy's going to have nothing to do with it, right? So I went digging. I want to know a bit more. What's this fellow up to, right? Can't find anything nasty, all right? I find lots of stuff that's interesting, right? So, for example, him on China, right? China, okay. He said we're not making deals with communists, right? He said it straight outright. We're not making deals with communists. Somebody said, yeah, but China's one of our biggest trading partners. He said, well, if the private sector wants to make deals with China, that's up to them, but the government can't because we don't deal with communists. Yeah, yes. Separating out, right? Separating out, okay? They're separating out. This is what the government does, private sector. Get on with it. Go make us all money and make us rich so we can do all the projects that we want, government over here. Again, he's saying we're not doing 2030. But he's a member of the WEF. This is what's interesting. Isn't it fascinating? So he's saying we're not going to do 2030. But we are going to separate out. The government does not do business with communists. Fantastic. This is where we need to go. If he's putting a wedge between that fundamental thing there at the top, if you're a business, you want to do business with China, get on with it. We're not. Right? We're not. That's it. The government can't be seen to do that because it represents everybody. Oh, yeah. Oh, bring it on. Right? That's good. What's next? He's going to go after universities. Then he's going to go after whatever healthcare system they've got anywhere else that he finds this. He is going to eradicate wokeism from the Argentinian way of life. And I, for one, even though he may have a sting in his tail, wish him well. We just have to be careful that we watch so that when he gets to a certain point we go, okay, thanks very much. Somebody new. That's how democracy works. So go and celebrate in your halls, in your chambers. But I think we may well have the emergence of a template that could be used anywhere to eradicate wokery and these dangerous race baiters, environmental nutters, gender identity lunatics, and queer theory swine that are currently poisoning the minds and the lives of children across the Western world. Oh, yay! Become a warrior teacher. Now buzz off. I'll see you later. Bye.